This is a Note to Future Me, May 2nd, 2018. Interview requests. I probably get about a minimum of 10 to 12 pitches every month for a podcast that I help produce called Business Inspires. It's crazy how many people want to be on the podcast. Not being braggadocious about it, it just comes down to that it's in the right category at the right time. Small business, entrepreneur, that is a hot category for up-and-coming entrepreneurs to show off their wares, as it were, and to be on as many of those types of interview podcasts as possible. But the reality is the podcast has a very specific target guest and audience. The requests are all similar. It's all about them. It's, look what I've done, or you must have me on your show. The requests are coming mostly from PR companies. They're boring, don't have any value to the podcast at all. You can tell they haven't researched the podcast or listened to one episode. So a tip to those that want to start being guests on a podcast. For your part, ensure that you have what the podcast needs as a guest. Okay, do some research. Figure out what the podcast is trying to accomplish. First of all, hit up the rating and reviews on iTunes. If it's a good podcast, whether you want to be a guest or not, they're going to appreciate you appreciating them. iTunes, other platforms are huge. Screenshot that rating and review and let them know that you love the show. Send it to them in an email, but no pitch. Send them a tweet praising the show. Be specific about the episode that you listened to or a specific piece of that show that they really know that you did listen to it. And show that you're genuinely liking the show. And again, no pitch though. Share the show on Twitter with the guest and host handles included in that Twitter, okay? Again, still no pitch. Send an email praising the show to them. Again, no pitch. You're just a fan at that time. Then send an email suggesting a topic, something you want to answer to, but no pitch. Get the conversation going. Let them approach you. Keep doing these until you get noticed. Even a thank you is great. Then engage in a conversation. The hosts or host of that podcast will greatly appreciate all the love that you give them initially, and they're going to get that you get it, what you're trying to do with your guest opportunities for their podcast, as well as that they're going to understand that you know what they're doing with their podcast as well. So remember, give something first, praise what they create. Don't pitch yourself until you've connected at some level, and offer up how you would be of value to their listeners. Make it all about the podcast host or hosts. They understand that you're doing it for yourself as well too, but they are going to be guarding, they are the gatekeeper to their listeners. And you have to show that you're worth it, worth their time to interview and present what you have to offer to their listeners. Sign up for my weekly, well, actually it's turning into a daily now, Open the Mic newsletter beginning next week. I will be categorizing each day, kind of breaking it into sales, podcaster production toolbox, podcast news, podcaster social media toolbox, and podcast for the weekend. A daily Monday through Friday, very short, very concise, easy to read newsletter. Sign up at circle270media.com. Thanks for taking notes with me.